Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. It is Sunday, it is match day. Arsenal versus Manchester United kicking off in just a few hours' time at the Emirates. I'm heading there pretty much as soon as I've done this video. As you can see, all decked out, ready to go. Cannot wait, sitting in my proper seats next to my dad. Looking forward to this, heading to the Tollington before the game. So yeah, if you're in around the Tollington having a couple of pints, come over and say hello. Really looking forward to this one. Big match. Always is Arsenal versus Manchester United. It doesn't get much bigger, does it? If you're my age, you kind of grew up on this rivalry and the intensity of it. Pretty much the best rivalry of Premier League era, I would say, 100%. Sure, some other people might disagree, Manchester City and Liverpool fans, perhaps, but for me, this is the rivalry of the Premier League and the greatest era of the Premier League is when these two top teams were fighting it out year after year for the league title. So yeah, plenty to talk about today. I'm going to keep it pretty brief though, because as you can see, I'm ready to pretty much make my way up to the ground. So I want to get going. But there is stuff to talk about, and of course, one big thing to talk about at the moment, and that is Thomas Partey. Now, this is an interesting one. Arsenal, Thomas Partey got injured basically in training, and Arsenal have been doing their best to keep under wraps. Even their brilliant decision to put the pictures up on the website yesterday, saying it was yesterday's training, and you could see Thomas Partey in the background. Obviously, it was a big ruse to try and throw Manchester United off the scent. Some rumours had been circulating on social media for 24 hours or so. I had been checking it out. It was tough to nail down exactly what had happened, but it was clear sort of overnight on Friday into Saturday that Thomas Partey had suffered some sort of an injury, either to his groin, I was told, and then I was told to his quad and thigh. It's like it basically, it seems like it's definitely a muscular injury, but I'm not exactly 100% sure. Ghana then released an announcement yesterday when they announced their squad, which I know for well that Arsenal will not be happy with, because obviously they're trying to keep things under wraps ahead of such a big game. Don't want to give Manchester United any sort of advantage knowing who's going to be starting and who's not. But then Ghana went and released that Thomas Partey has sustained a groin injury during training on Thursday, currently unavailable as doctors predict he'll be out for a couple of weeks. So that sort of put it out very much into the public domain then that Thomas Partey was injured. Now I've been hearing different levels of, how bad this injury is. I've had real sort of nightmare scenario predictions from some people saying it's a really bad injury. I've heard, he's out for months. And then speaking of people close to Thomas Partey, they're trying to play it down a bit more and say, look, let's just wait and see. We've got to find out what's, over the next couple of days when we've had assessments and all that, exactly how bad this one is, if it's bad at all. As here, Arsenal or Ghana clearly believe it's just going to be a couple of weeks, and that's from information they've had from Arsenal. We'll see what Mikel Arteta says after the game today. Whatever it is, he's not going to play today. That is pretty obvious, and we'll wait and see when he's back. Now, if this is a long-term injury for Thomas Partey, which we hope it's not, but if it is, then it's a big disaster for Arsenal. Put it that way. They already look pretty light in terms of their squad. The fact this kind of happened as well before the transfer deadline is only going to frustrate people even more at the fact that Arsenal didn't look to bring in any more sort of cover before Friday 11 p.m. If it's only a couple of weeks and he's back pretty soon after the international break, then it doesn't, it's not overly a big deal. I'm not even 100% sure he would have started today anyway, even if he was fit. Obviously, he started for the first 3 games, but I did feel like this could be with Zinchenko coming back the first time we see Ben White switched over to right back. And then I wasn't sure if there was going to be space in the midfield for Thomas Partey in this game, because it could easily just been Declan Rice and then Havertz and Odegaard in the midfield 3. So, if it's only a couple of weeks, I don't think it's a disaster. If it's more than that and it turns into a long-term thing, then yeah, obviously it's awful news for Arsenal and just what they didn't want. And it's certainly going to increase scrutiny on Arsenal's lack of incomings ahead of Friday's transfer deadline, considering they would have been aware of this injury before that deadline, and yet they still didn't do anything. Now, the thing with Arsenal, they don't panic. We've seen that in previous transfer windows. They won't go out and just buy someone or sign someone just for the sake of it. But I think this would be more, if this was a serious one, given how light Arsenal are, particularly in defence anyway, I don't think it's a case of just for the sake of it. I think it certainly feels like there was a little bit of a necessity, and they haven't done that, and they've left themselves open to the criticism now. So we shall wait and see. But yeah, a frustrating one for Thomas Partey. There's one for a couple of comments on it. One from here from Money Subsidy. Thomas Partey injury is non-contact muscular injury. It brings into light my main concern of him playing at right back. Injury risk due to different physical demands, specifically sprinting, quantity, distance, intensity, and one-on-one play, change direction, acceleration, deceleration. Arsenal's fitness staff would have tailored his S&C for this, but it takes time to adapt. Case in point, Ben White, who's extremely physically robust, still dealt with right knee and hamstring injuries last season after making the switch. Further, Partey was clearly fatigued tail end last season, having to cover more ground with Saliba and holding in bigger fitness gap to Brad Arteta bluff. So yeah, money subs here isn't too happy if this injury, which it does appear to be a non-contact muscular injury, and he's kind of putting the blame there on Thomas Partey playing at right back, and it's a fair point. I think all of us, when we've seen Thomas Partey sort of trying to keep up with a pacey winger down the wing in his right back role, all of us are just like, oh my god, his thigh is going to go, because we've seen it so many times before with Thomas Partey. He's not the most robust of players. Certainly, he hasn't been since he's been at Arsenal anyway. And playing at right back, potentially that does put his body under more physical demands. So yeah, I think it's a fair point, 100%. If you kind of look at it and think that maybe this been a bit of a rod for his own back that Arteta has made by playing him there. But if you can't play a player in a position you want to play him in because your fear is fitness, I think that says a little bit more about the player in a way as well, because you just like, well, if you're a top elite sportsman and football player playing for Arsenal, you want to be able to play in whatever position the coach wants you to play in, really. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can absolutely see that. I think there are certainly questions from maybe Mikel to answer there, but I think it's pretty harsh to lay solely the blame on that. But thanks for your question. Brandon here says, do we now see El Neni playing at right back? Seriously though, now that Partey is potentially sidelined for 3 months, again, we don't know that yet, so wait and see. Does Gabriel get back in the team with Rice, Havertz and Odegaard midfield? Eddie's informed with Gabriel Jesus returning from injury. We've got options up top, allowing Havertz, Vieira to get more time in the number 8 role. Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be interesting to see what Mikel does today. There's some big decisions for him to make in terms of the starting lineup. The fact that Partey is out, almost makes one of those decisions for him. Before that, he was probably going to have to think, do I stick with the Partey at right back thing, or do I bring Ben White back in? I think now that Thomas Partey's out, then it's just a given. I'd be stunned if Ben White isn't at right back today. Really, really surprised if he's not. But then you've got other questions. What do you do then? Does Gabriel come back in to play alongside William Saliba at centre-back? Gabriel's not really started the game yet this season. Do you play Nketiah there if he's more sort of physically ready than Gabriel, rather than put Nketiah in at left-sided centre-back alongside William Saliba? Does Zinchenko come back in if fit? I'd imagine Zinchenko certainly does. I think Gabriel would get the nod ahead of Nketiah at centre-back. I'd be very surprised if he's not, but I've been surprised many times so far by Arteta's starting lineup so far this season. And then you've got what do you do with Kai Havertz? Do you keep him in the team? Do you take him out the firing line a little bit? Or do you try and play him, hope that you can play him in a game of this sort of magnitude? He plays well, does something really important, scores a goal, and suddenly, bang, that confidence is there. And Kai Havertz can really kick on from that point. So it's big decisions to make. And then you've got up front as well, what do you do with Eddie Nketiah? Didn't start him in the last game against Fulham, came off the bench, scored a goal. He's second in 3 games. He's played really well, I think, so far this season. He's just got the England call up, but Gabriel Jesus is back. Jesus hasn't started a game yet. Now, this is a predicted 11 that I have gone for today. Again, this is just a predicted 11. It's not based on any knowledge I have. This is just what I think right now that Mikel will look to do. So I've gone with, obviously, Ramsdale. I think will keep his place in goal. I don't think we'll see David Raya come in just yet. And I'm going to go with a back four of the back four that we all kind of know and are accustomed to, and I think we all pretty much want, which is Zinchenko at left back, Gabriel and Saliba as the 2 centre-backs, and then Ben White restored once again to that right back role. And then I'm going to have Declan Rice playing in the holding role in midfield ahead of him. I think he'll probably stick with Kai Havertz. I think if Partey had been fit, then maybe there was a decision to make there. Do you go with Rice and Partey in the midfield 3? But the fact he's not, even though Vieira plays well, and I think has a very strong case to be rewarded for a starting spot today, I've got a feeling he might well stick with Kai Havertz now, mainly with that Partey absence, just to sort of had a little bit more physicality to that midfield against to go up against the likes of Casemiro and everyone like that. So my midfield 3 are Declan Rice, Kai Havertz and Martin Odegaard. And then I'm going to go with Martinelli and Saka, obviously, as the 2 wide men. And then I think Eddie Nketiah comes back in. I think he gets a nod ahead of Gabriel Jesus, just because of his form, just because of how sharp he is, just because of his confidence levels. Eddie will be brimming with confidence right now, especially after what happened last weekend, and then getting the sort of call up by England as well. He's going to feel top of the world right now, Eddie Nketiah. So I think he gets the nod and will start today. So once again, there's my starting 11, predicted starting 11, just predicted, no inside knowledge. This is just what I think Mikel will do. I'm going to go Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Rice, Odegaard, Havertz, Saka, Martinelli, and Eddie Nketiah. Okay, a couple of comments. Actually, I think this is the last one I've got now. Casey Lundy says, don't have a good feeling for the United game today, Charles. We are horrendous at home and concede far too many, and Arteta's tactics are all over the place. That's not the way to approach a big game like that. It should be all up. I can't wait. I'm buzzing to get down to the Emirates today. And when you say, look, our home form's horrendous, I don't think that's pushing it a little bit. I think Arsenal only lost 2 games in the league at home last season. I thought they started this season with a win against Forest. They should have beaten Fulham comfortably last weekend. Play that game 9 times out of 10. They do win that game comfortably, given the chances they created and how much they limited Fulham to chances. It was just one of those weird afternoons, that one. And also, Man United, you said Arsenal's home form's horrendous. Man United's away form is awful, especially against the top 6. Absolutely dreadful record under Ten Hag away from home at the top 6. They've already got beaten by Tottenham this season. In North London as well. So I don't think there's anything to fear from Manchester United today. It's a big game. I think both teams go into it under a little bit of pressure because of the starts to the season they've had. I think Arsenal got 7 points from 9. It's not been a dreadful one. Even United have picked up a couple of wins as well, but they've been far from convincing, kind of similar to Arsenal. So it's 2 teams I think have got a little bit of questions to answer in terms of where they are right now at the start of the season. But yeah, I wouldn't be, I should be looking forward to this one. It's a massive game. This is what it's all about. I can't wait to get down the Emirates and feel that atmosphere a little bit later on today. And hopefully Arsenal can really kickstart things. I'm not going to do predictions. I don't like doing predictions, so I'm not going to do one. But I'm just really looking forward to seeing what Arsenal can produce. And if they can really kick into gear today, put on a performance, put on a show, pick up a result that just silences some of the doubters that are creeping in, I think we can all kick on from here and go into the international break very, very happy indeed with the start that Arsenal have enjoyed. All right, that's it from me, everyone. Thank you very much for watching or listening to this around the world. If you are heading up to the Emirates today, enjoy it, sing loud, back the boys. Hopefully we can get the atmosphere that we needed that can bring the 3 points. And like you said, if you're in and around the sort of Tollington area before the game, I will pop in there a little bit later on today. Going to meet a couple of people before the game for a drink. So come over, say hello. And let's talk Arsenal at Tollington. Have a great day, everyone. Speak to you very, very soon.